Hook or introduction. Have you ever wondered why, when you see someone else succeed, a feeling of envy or unease arises inside you? Maybe it's because we've grown so accustomed to living in a world of comparisons, where our self-worth seems to be measured by achievements, money, or social status. When your neighbor buys a new house, when a colleague gets promoted, or when a friend achieves something remarkable, our hearts don't always rejoice with them. Instead, we may feel a sense of lack, a desire to be ahead, or a quiet frustration. But here's the thing, that feeling of envy isn't your fault. It's a signal, a gentle reminder from your mind that you're caught in the cycle of comparison and craving. And this is actually an invitation, an opportunity to look more deeply into yourself, to realize that true joy doesn't come from having more, or from being better than others, but from expanding your heart, practicing gratitude, and learning to genuinely celebrate the success of others. Imagine this, every time you see someone succeed, instead of feeling envy, you take a breath, smile inwardly, and ask yourself, what can I learn from them? How can I share in their happiness? Even in this simple moment of shifting your perspective, you take your first step toward inner freedom, where comparison, competition, and envy slowly dissolve. In Buddhism, rejoicing in others' wealth or success isn't just a moral lesson, it's a spiritual practice. It helps us release negative emotions, cultivate a heart of compassion, and recognize that true happiness doesn't depend on the outside world, it resides within our own hearts. Today, I invite you to join me, like a monk walking the path of awakening, to look deeply into your own mind and learn to genuinely celebrate the success of others. Because when you do, you don't just give joy to others, you unlock the door to your own inner peace and true happiness. So let's begin this journey together, to understand why rejoicing in the achievements of others can completely change the way you see the world and the way you experience your own life. Understanding envy and competition. Have you ever wondered why, when you see someone else achieving something you desire, your heart feels heavy or unsettled? That feeling is envy, a very human reaction. It arises when we notice someone possessing something we don't yet have, a gift, an opportunity, or even a small success in life. Alongside envy, competition often creeps in, the desire to surpass, to be better, to validate our worth through comparison. In Buddhism, the habit of comparing ourselves to others is a major source of suffering. A disciple once asked the Buddha, "Why can't I feel happy when my friend succeeds?" Buddha gently replied, "Because your mind still holds an image of yourself in comparison. You have not yet seen that the wealth or success of others is also a blessing you can learn from." This answer opens a new perspective. Envy is not a flaw, but the shadow of ignorance, the inability to see clearly the true nature of things and of our own mind. Once we recognize this, we begin the path toward liberation. Instead of envy, we can learn, respect, and even genuinely rejoice in the success of others. Ask yourself, when I see someone succeed, how do I respond? Am I comparing myself to feel superior, or can I view their success as a mirror to learn and grow? Shifting this perspective transforms envy into curiosity, inspiration, and authentic joy. Here's a simple illustration. You see a colleague getting promoted. Instead of feeling envious, you observe how they work, the methods they use, and learn from them to develop yourself. Your mind feels lighter, and at the same time, you enjoy their success while nurturing your own growth. Recognizing that envy and competition are merely shadows of ignorance is the first step on the path to mental freedom. When our mind becomes clear, the happiness of others is no longer a threat. It becomes a guiding light, helping us mature and live more peacefully. True wealth is more than material. When we hear the word wealth, many of us immediately think of money, possessions, or power. But if we look deeper, true wealth doesn't come from numbers in a bank account or the things we own. It comes from a state of mind, inner peace, compassion, wisdom, and the ability to know enough. Often, we see others with more than we have and feel a sense of lack, but happiness cannot be measured by material things. Imagine a small village with two friends working as farmers. One plants an abundant crop, and the harvest is plentiful. The other plants just enough to feed his family. Surprisingly, the one with less always smiles, content with what he has, while the one with more sometimes feels anxious or worried about losing the crop. This simple story reminds us that happiness isn't about the quantity of what we possess, it's about the mindset of enough and the peace we cultivate within. When we learn to genuinely rejoice in someone else's wealth or success, we expand our hearts. Instead of comparing money or power, we focus on their character, effort, and joy. This joy doesn't take anything away from us. In fact, it helps us recognize the invisible wealth all around us, the richness of human connection, the simple meaningful moments, and the generosity of spirit. Here's a small exercise. The next time you see someone succeed, instead of comparing or feeling envy, ask yourself, what about this success can I feel happy about? What can I learn from them? These questions transform envy into joy, helping your mind open up and live in a state of contentment. Understanding that wealth is not just material is a crucial step toward freeing the mind from comparison and competition. Then, joy no longer depends on external circumstances, it becomes an inner state. And slowly, you begin to see the world and yourself in a completely different light, peaceful, light, and full of meaning. Gratitude instead of envy. Have you noticed that whenever we see someone else succeed, our natural reaction is often envy or comparison? But this can completely change if we shift our focus to a powerful alternative emotion, gratitude. Instead of asking, why do they have what I don't? Try asking yourself, what can I learn from them? What am I grateful for in my own life right now? Gratitude isn't just a fleeting feel-good emotion. It's a tool that transforms negative feelings into positive energy. When we focus on what we truly appreciate, we begin to see others' success not as a threat, but as an opportunity to learn and grow. Consider the story of a young disciple who watched a friend get promoted. Instead of feeling jealous, he chose to observe, learn, and improve his own skills. Each step of his friend's success became inspiration, a motivation for personal growth. In fact, the joy he felt in seeing his friend succeed strengthened his own confidence and resilience. This is the power of gratitude. It turns envy into inspiration, turning a rival into a teacher, and turning pressure into a chance to learn. Here's a simple exercise you can try. Each day, write down at least 3 things you are grateful for, maybe an opportunity, a supportive friend, or even just your health and well-being. When you do this consistently, your mind becomes lighter, and when you see someone else succeed, your natural reaction shifts from envy to genuine joy and motivation. In Buddhism, gratitude is like a cure for envy. It opens the door to inner happiness, where joy doesn't depend on external circumstances, but on the ability to appreciate and understand. When you practice gratitude, you not only rejoice in others' success, but also cultivate a mind that is free, peaceful, and full of life. Practicing compassion. Did you know that when you genuinely rejoice in someone else's wealth or happiness, you are simultaneously cultivating compassion within yourself? Compassion isn't just caring for others, it's a way to transform negative emotions into positive energy, allowing your mind to feel lighter and more peaceful. Every time you see someone happy, try silently wishing them well. May you be happy, peaceful, and successful. This seemingly simple act carries immense power. Consider the story of a king who practiced meditation. Seeing his minister's wealth, he asked the Buddha, "How can I avoid feeling envy toward them?" The Buddha smiled and said, "Develop a heart of compassion. Bless them in your mind, and your heart will become light and peaceful." This teaching reveals a profound truth. Envy and competition weigh down the heart when it is closed, when desire to possess or surpass others dominates. By opening the heart with compassion, others' joy becomes a source of nourishment for yourself. Practicing compassion doesn't have to be abstract or complicated. You can start with small everyday actions. Smile when someone succeeds. Show empathy for someone's struggles. or even send a simple congratulatory message to a friend or family member. Each action plants a seed of compassion, and magically, this energy returns to you, bringing inner peace and happiness. You might wonder, can I really feel joy when blessing someone else? This is a practice to reveal hidden attachments in the mind. As you focus on rejoicing for others, envy slowly gives way to lightness, and even feelings of gratitude and happiness arise. Compassion, at this point, is not just about giving, it is also about receiving, a natural energy of joy that anyone can feel. As the Buddha taught, compassion is the energy of happiness. The more you give, the more you receive. When you rejoice in someone else's success, you not only bring joy to them, but also expand your heart, ease your anxieties, and live with greater peace each day. Recognizing impermanence. Have you ever reflected on a simple truth that we rarely remember? All possessions, achievements, and status are impermanent. They come and go, like clouds drifting across the sky. Envy, competition, and comparison all arise from clinging to these impermanent things, wishing to hold them forever. When we recognize their impermanent nature, the mind naturally becomes lighter, freer, and no longer bound by comparison or desire. Consider the story of a wealthy merchant who seemed to have everything: money, property, and prestige. But suddenly, a flood wipes out all his wealth. His friend, who had long envied him, suddenly realizes a profound truth: wealth can be lost at any moment. The envy that once occupied his heart dissolves, replaced by understanding, relief, and a new awareness of what true happiness really means. Recognizing impermanence does not mean rejecting life or being pessimistic. On the contrary, it helps us see life clearly. What we have today is a fortunate coincidence, not an absolute possession. When we rejoice in someone else's success, we no longer fear loss or feel jealousy, because we understand that everything changes, and true happiness does not depend on external circumstances. Here's a simple exercise: whenever you feel envy, remind yourself, this is temporary. Success, wealth, and status are never permanent. Even this small recognition can transform negative feelings into peace. It allows you to feel lighter when seeing others succeed, opening the door to learning from them, sharing their joy, and breaking free from comparison. As the Buddha taught, understanding impermanence is a key to inner peace. When the mind does not cling to what is fleeting, the joy of others is no longer a threat. It becomes a source of inspiration, positive energy, and a valuable lesson on how to live fully and happily in each moment. Learning from others' success. Have you ever felt envy when someone else succeeds, achieves a goal, or lives the life you wish for? This is a natural human reaction, but from another perspective, every success of someone else is a valuable lesson. Instead of competing or feeling resentment, we can observe, learn, and draw inspiration to develop ourselves. Consider the story of a Buddhist practitioner working in sales. A colleague achieves an outstanding sales record. Instead of comparing or feeling resentment, the practitioner calmly observes how the colleague organizes work, communicates with clients, and plans strategies. By learning and adapting these approaches in a way that suits them, they gradually improve their own performance. The result is not just higher sales, but, more importantly, a sense of joy from personal growth without being consumed by envy. This is a vivid example of the Buddha's teaching. Another person's success is not a rival to compete with, but a mirror to reflect on oneself. When we look at others' achievements with a learning mindset, we open the door to growth while maintaining inner peace. Their success becomes motivation, not a source of stress or pressure. Here's a simple exercise. When you see someone succeed, ask yourself, what can I learn from this success? How can I apply it to my own life to grow? This question transforms negative feelings into positive actions, and gradually, you'll realize that feeling joy for others' success is not just an emotion, it becomes part of your personal growth journey. Learning from others' success helps us grow both in skill and in spirit. It teaches us to view the world with compassion, respect, and an open heart, where someone else's success becomes a source of inspiration, not a burden of envy. Freeing yourself from comparison. Have you ever noticed that comparison is at the root of envy and inner unease? When we look around and compare ourselves to others, whether in success, wealth, reputation, or skill, the mind naturally produces feelings of lack, jealousy, or anxiety. But the magic happens when we learn to free ourselves from the habit of comparison. The mind becomes truly liberated, light, and filled with genuine joy. Consider the story of a young monk. He once suffered deeply from comparing himself to other monks, who studied better, who practiced more diligently, who earned more respect. Every progress made by others left him feeling inadequate or envious. One day, he realized a simple yet profound truth: everyone walks their own path, shaped by unique circumstances, abilities, and lessons. By accepting this, his mind lightened, joy arose naturally when seeing others succeed, and envy gradually dissolved. Freeing yourself from comparison doesn't mean giving up ambition or losing motivation. On the contrary, it allows us to focus on our own growth, step by step. Instead of looking outward to measure our worth, we turn inward to appreciate our progress, patience, and inner peace. In this way, other success becomes a source of inspiration, not pressure or threat. Here's a small exercise. Whenever you feel the urge to compare, remind yourself, everyone walks their own path. I am on my own journey. This simple shift in awareness helps liberate the mind, creating a sense of freedom and authentic joy. As the Buddha taught, inner freedom comes when we stop comparing and accept ourselves. In this state, the joy of others is no longer a threat. It becomes a part of the richness of life, expanding the heart and nurturing inner happiness every day. Rejoicing for others is a blessing. Have you ever felt happiness just by witnessing someone else's joy? The wonderful truth is, when you genuinely rejoice in another person's wealth or success, you don't lose anything. On the contrary, this joy is a kind of blessing you plant for yourself. It multiplies when you share it, help others, or even simply offer silent good wishes in your heart. Imagine the story of a woman living in a small neighborhood. When she sees her neighbor buy a new house, she doesn't feel envy. Instead, she smiles, shares the joy with her family and friends, and even congratulates the neighbor. Her happiness doesn't end at merely seeing another's achievement. It spreads, strengthens community ties, and most importantly, fills her with a profound sense of peace, lightness, and joy. The Buddha taught that happiness doubles when shared. Rejoicing for others nurtures inner peace and plants seeds of goodness for the future. By finding joy in someone else's success, you dissolve barriers of envy and competition, and open your heart. This not only benefits others but allows you to experience deep, lasting happiness for yourself. Here's a simple exercise. Whenever you see someone accomplish something, pause for a moment, smile, and silently say to yourself, I rejoice in your success, and I accept this joy for myself. This small habit cultivates an open heart, compassion, and enduring happiness. Rejoicing for others is a subtle yet powerful act. It reminds us that happiness is not scarce and does not require comparison. It's an energy that can spread, multiply, and nourish the soul. When you genuinely rejoice for others, you are planting blessings for yourself, making life lighter, freer, and more peaceful each day. Practicing meditation and reflection. Have you ever wondered why the mind so easily gets caught up in envy or competition, even when we know it only brings suffering? The answer lies in how we often live on autopilot, reacting out of habit and comparison, forgetting the power of observation and awareness. This is where meditation and reflection become transformative tools. Meditation isn't just sitting still, it's a way to look deeply into your own mind. By sitting in meditation daily, observing your breath, sensations, and thoughts, you begin to notice your automatic reactions when you see someone else succeed or prosper. At first, it may be envy, anxiety, or competition, but through meditation, you learn not to be carried away. You observe, understand, and gradually, envy transforms into joy, gratitude, and motivation to learn and grow. Imagine a meditator sitting quietly each day. One day, hearing that a close friend has achieved great success, he feels an inner stir. Instead of getting caught in comparison, he notices the feeling, smiles, and thinks, "This is an opportunity to learn and grow." Over time, meditation helps him recognize the impermanence of everything: success, failure, wealth, and recognition. All of it changes. Understanding this brings peace to the mind, freeing it from envy and the pressures of comparison. Reflection is equally important, looking deeply into reality, recognizing that all emotions come and go, and that true happiness does not depend on external circumstances. Combining meditation and reflection, we not only release envy, but also cultivate compassion, wisdom, and lasting happiness. You can start today. Dedicate a few minutes each day to meditate. Observe your mind when faced with another's joy or success, and practice letting go, transforming negative emotions into positive energy. This is the path to living lightly, freely, and experiencing true inner happiness. True happiness. Looking back over this journey, we can see that rejoicing in the wealth or success of others is a part of awakening. It's not an abstract theory, it's a practical and profound way of living, not comparing, not envying, knowing enough, and cultivating compassion. When you practice this, your mind becomes free, life feels lighter, and inner peace and joy naturally arise. Consider this final story. A disciple asked the Buddha, "How will I know that I have awakened, even partly?" The Buddha smiled gently and replied, "When you see another's happiness and your heart rejoices as well, that is when you are living with wisdom and compassion." Such a simple answer, yet it carries the universe of understanding. Awakening isn't about possession, status, or achievements. It is recognizing joy that spreads when others are at peace. Rejoicing for others costs nothing, yet it plants seeds of goodness in your own heart. Every time you smile, offer blessings, or genuinely feel joy for someone else's success, you are multiplying your own peace and happiness. This is the secret of true happiness. When we let go of envy and competition, we not only free ourselves, but also help create a gentler, brighter world. You can start today. Notice your mind when others succeed, observe your true feelings, and practice smiling, gratitude, and rejoicing for them. Gradually, life will feel lighter, your heart will open wider, and inner happiness will become your natural state. Remember, joy does not diminish when shared, it multiplies. Rejoicing for others is planting seeds of awakening, compassion, and inner freedom, and as these seeds grow, your life will shine like the morning sun, serene, radiant, and full of peace.